1. Cinque Terre, Italy. Colorful coastal villages. Cinque Terre, a collection of 5 picturesque villages, Monterosso al Mare, Vernazza, Corniglia, Manarola, and Riomaggiore, perches dramatically along the rugged cliffs of Italy's Ligurian coast. These villages, with their colorful facades stacked like a painter's palette against the turquoise Mediterranean, have a history steeped in maritime tradition and agricultural ingenuity. For centuries, the people of Cinque Terre have worked in harmony with the land and sea. The steep cliffs made large-scale farming impossible, so locals devised an intricate system of terraced vineyards and olive groves, creating a breathtaking landscape. Dry stone walls, known as muretti a secco, were built by hand to prevent soil erosion and allow for the cultivation of grapes that would produce the region's renowned Cinque Terre wine. Generations of fishermen, too, depended on the sea, setting out at dawn in brightly colored boats, their nets teeming with anchovies and other Mediterranean fish. Each of the 5 villages has its own distinct character and charm. Monterosso al Mare, the largest and most accessible, boasts a rare sandy beach, making it a favorite among sunseekers. Its historic center is filled with medieval ruins, charming trattorias, and the striking church of San Giovanni Battista, which features an iconic black and white striped facade. Monterosso is also famous for its lemon groves, producing some of the most fragrant and flavorful lemons in Italy. Vernazza, often considered the jewel of Cinque Terre, is a postcard-perfect village with a natural harbor, vibrant waterfront, and pastel-colored houses cascading down the cliffs. The 11th-century Doria Castle, once a defensive stronghold against pirate invasions, stands watch over the town. Life in Vernazza revolves around the piazza, where locals and visitors alike gather for an espresso or a glass of wine, soaking in the breathtaking views of the sea. Perched high above the sea, Corniglia is the only village in Cinque Terre that does not have direct access to the water. Instead, it is nestled among vineyards, offering sweeping panoramic views of the coastline. To reach Corniglia, visitors must climb the famous Larderina, a zigzagging staircase of 377 steps. The village's quiet, laid-back atmosphere makes it the least touristy of the 5, attracting those who seek solitude and authenticity. Manarola, perhaps the most photographed of the villages, is a cascade of brightly colored buildings perched precariously on the cliffs. Its picturesque harbor, where fishing boats rest on dry land between outings, adds to its charm. Manarola is famous for its sweet wine, Cinque Terre, which has been produced in the region since Roman times. At night, the village glows with a soft golden light, creating an almost dreamlike atmosphere. Finally, Riomaggiore, the southernmost village, is known for its dramatic cliffs and a charming main street lined with seafood restaurants and small artisan shops. The town's small marina is home to traditional wooden boats known as gozzi, which have been used by local fishermen for centuries. Riomaggiore is also the starting point of the famous Via dell'Amore, Path of Love, a scenic trail that once connected it to Manarola and became a symbol of romance. Despite their remote beauty, the villages of Cinque Terre have faced challenges over the years. Heavy storms and landslides have threatened the delicate balance between nature and human habitation, leading to restoration efforts to protect the fragile coastline. The influx of tourism, while beneficial to the economy, has also placed pressure on the small communities, prompting conservation efforts to preserve the region's authenticity. The narrow, winding streets, filled with the scent of freshly baked focaccia, citrus blossoms, and the salty breeze of the Mediterranean, offer a glimpse into a way of life that has remained largely unchanged. Tourists flock to Cinque Terre not only for its scenic beauty but also for its rich cultural heritage, from traditional fishing practices to the art of winemaking. The famous Sentiero Azzurro, or Blue Trail, connects the 5 villages, offering breathtaking coastal views and an immersive experience into the natural beauty of the region. Beyond the sunlit facades and picturesque landscapes, Cinque Terre holds a deeper history, one that would soon call Alessia home. To childhood memories. Alessia's childhood summers in Vernazza were filled with an enchanting sense of wonder and simplicity. She would arrive by train from the bustling city, her small hands pressed eagerly against the window as the dramatic cliffs of Cinque Terre came into view. The moment she stepped onto the familiar stone pathways, she felt a deep-rooted connection to the land, as if the very air of Vernazza held echoes of her ancestors' voices. Each morning, she woke to the symphony of village life, the distant hum of fishing boats setting sail at dawn, the rhythmic calls of street vendors arranging their produce in the piazza, and the comforting rattle of Nonna Lucia's stovetop espresso maker. The scent of salty air mingled with fresh basil and sun-dried tomatoes, creating an aroma uniquely tied to her childhood. Nonna Lucia's home sat nestled against the terraced hills, its whitewashed walls adorned with bougainvillea and potted lemon trees. The heart of the home was the kitchen, where love was expressed through food. Alessia would watch in fascination as her grandmother kneaded dough for focaccia, the golden crust crisped to perfection in the ancient wood-fired oven. "Cooking is a way to keep our history alive," Nonna would say as she crushed fresh basil into fragrant pesto. When she wasn't in the kitchen, Alessia spent her days exploring the labyrinthine alleyways of Vernazza. The village was her playground, a maze of stone staircases leading to hidden courtyards and secret gardens. She would sit on the harbor wall, dipping her feet into the cool water as she listened to fishermen tell stories of legendary storms and mystical sea creatures. Some afternoons, she would accompany her grandmother to the local market, where vendors displayed baskets of sun-ripened tomatoes, fragrant herbs, and freshly caught anchovies. Nonna Lucia knew everyone by name, and each greeting was infused with warmth. "A village is like a family," she often said. "We look after each other." But perhaps the most magical moments of Alessia's childhood were the evenings spent on the cliffs overlooking the sea. She and her grandmother would sit on their favorite bench, watching the sky erupt in brilliant hues of orange and pink. "The sea has secrets," Nonna would whisper, her gaze fixed on the horizon. "If you listen closely, it will tell you its stories." Alessia's favorite story was of the hidden treasure, a legend passed down through generations. It was said that a long-lost heirloom, buried beneath the vineyards, held the key to the village's forgotten past. As a child, she would dream of uncovering it, imagining herself as an adventurer in search of a hidden world beneath the soil. As the years passed and Alessia grew older, the visits to Vernazza became less frequent. Life had taken her to distant places, and the simplicity of village life seemed like a distant memory. Yet in her heart she knew she would always return. Vernazza was not just a place, it was a part of her, woven into the fabric of her soul. Now, standing at the doorway of her grandmother's home after years away, she felt the weight of nostalgia settle over her. The village was unchanged, yet everything felt different. She had come back not as a child filled with wonder, but as a woman searching for answers. As she stepped inside, her eyes fell upon an old wooden chest in the attic, a chest she had never seen before. Dust coated its surface, and its iron hinges groaned as she pried it open. Inside, nestled among faded photographs and yellowed recipes, was a letter sealed with wax. Her hands trembled as she unfolded the parchment, recognizing her grandmother's elegant handwriting. What she read would change everything. 3. The hidden letter. As she stepped inside, her eyes fell upon an old wooden chest in the attic, a chest she had never seen before. Dust coated its surface, and its iron hinges groaned as she pried it open. Inside, nestled among faded photographs and yellowed recipes, was a letter sealed with wax. Her hands trembled as she unfolded the parchment, recognizing her grandmother's elegant handwriting. "Mia cara Alessia," the letter began. "If you are reading this, then fate has guided you to the secret I have long kept." Alessia's breath caught in her throat. The words that followed unraveled a tale she had never imagined. Her grandmother spoke of a hidden heirloom, a necklace centuries old, passed down through generations. But more than that, it was a key, connected to a forgotten family legacy intertwined with the village itself. The letter revealed that beneath the vineyards of Vernazza, deep in the earth, lay a secret chamber built by their ancestors. The necklace, once retrieved, would unlock a chest that contained documents detailing the true history of their family, one that had been erased from the records. Alessia felt a shiver run down her spine. Her childhood memories of treasure hunts and whispered legends now took on new meaning. Her grandmother had known all along but had chosen to wait until she was ready to uncover the truth. Determined, she tucked the letter into her pocket and set off towards the vineyards, her heart pounding. If what the letter said was true, then she was about to unearth a mystery buried beneath Vernazza's sun-drenched soil, a truth that would redefine not only her past but her future. Following the clues. With the letter in her grasp, Alessia traced the words again, looking for any hidden meanings. The instructions were vague, speaking of a landmark known only to those who had lived in Vernazza for generations. She remembered childhood stories about an old olive tree near the vineyard's edge, its roots twisting like ancient fingers in the soil. Could this be the place her grandmother mentioned? She made her way through the narrow paths, the golden light of the setting sun casting long shadows. The scent of ripe grapes and the distant murmur of the waves guided her. As she reached the gnarled olive tree, her fingers traced the bark, searching. Then, beneath a patch of overgrown ivy, she saw it, an old stone slightly displaced. Heart-pounding, she dug carefully, unearthing a small wooden box, its carvings intricate and familiar. Inside lay the necklace, gleaming even in the dimming light. But there was something else, a key and another note. "This is only the beginning," it read. 5. The discovery. Alessia's pulse quickened as she held the key in her hands, staring at the old stone entrance hidden beneath the vineyard. The passage was concealed, its presence only hinted at by the worn grooves on the rock. With trembling fingers, she inserted the key into the rusted lock embedded in the stone. A deep metallic click echoed through the quiet evening air, and slowly, the concealed door creaked open, revealing a narrow tunnel descending into darkness. Armed with a lantern she had brought in anticipation, Alessia took a deep breath and stepped inside. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth, and her footsteps echoed against the stone walls. The passage led her deeper underground, past markings carved into the stone, symbols she had never seen before but somehow felt strangely familiar. As she reached the end of the tunnel, she found herself in a chamber illuminated by faint streaks of moonlight filtering through small cracks in the ceiling. In the center of the chamber stood an ornate wooden chest, bound in iron and adorned with intricate engravings that matched the design of the key. Heart-pounding, she knelt before it and slowly lifted the lid. Inside she found ancient documents, their parchment fragile with age. Among them was a handwritten manuscript detailing the untold history of her ancestors, their secret role in safeguarding the village's heritage, and a hidden treasure meant to preserve the legacy of Cinque Terre. Beside the documents lay a delicate golden pendant, its centerpiece a deep blue sapphire, the very heirloom her grandmother had spoken of. Tears welled in Alessia's eyes as the truth unfolded before her. She had uncovered not just a family secret, but a piece of Vernazza's past that had been waiting for generations to be revealed. And now, she held the responsibility of carrying that legacy forward. 6. The true treasure. As Alessia carefully examined the ancient documents and the golden pendant, she realized that the true treasure was not wealth or material riches. It was the story of her ancestors, the unbroken chain of love and sacrifice that had kept the village's spirit alive for generations. The pendant was more than just a family heirloom. It was a symbol of resilience, a testament to those who had safeguarded Vernazza's history against the tides of time. She sat in the chamber for hours, reading the aged parchment. The documents revealed a forgotten chapter of Vernazza's past, detailing how her family had played a pivotal role in protecting the region during times of war and hardship. Her great-grandfather had hidden these records to ensure that future generations would understand their responsibility, not just to their family, but to the entire community. A new sense of purpose filled her heart. The pendant, now resting against her chest, felt warm, as if infused with the strength of those who had worn it before her. She knew she could not keep this discovery to herself. She would restore the hidden history of Cinque Terre, sharing its legacy with the people who called it home. As she emerged from the hidden chamber into the moonlit vineyard, she no longer felt like an outsider returning to her past. She was part of something greater, a guardian of Vernazza's heritage. And that, she realized, was the greatest treasure of all.